In this Kreb cycle process, those are the process that involve in the cycle. First, the glucose will convert to pyruvate by process called glycolysis, and then the pyruvate will convert to the acetyl CoA and release carbon dioxide and NADH. This process is done by pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Okay, next, this acetyl CoA will convert to citrate. Then the citrate form will convert again to the isocitrate by equatase isomers. Then in this process, the NAD will convert to NADH, and then this isocitrate will convert to alpha ketoglutarate which is content of 5 carbon, and this process will release carbon dioxide. The next step is the formation of succinyl CoA. This will release carbon dioxide also, and the NAD will convert to NADH during this process. And then the succinyl CoA will convert to succinate and release of GTP, and then the succinate will convert to fumarate and release OH2, and this OH2 is used for the formation of FADH2 ion. Okay, next, the fumarate will fumarase to malate in this process. Further, to form the oxaloacetate by malate dehydrogenase, and in this process the NAD also convert to NADH. And the next process of this cycle is the conversion of oxaloacetate to the citrate to complete the cycle by the citrate synthase. As this process is done twice, the result of the Kreb cycle will be 6 NADH, 2 FADH2, 2 GTP, and 2 carbon dioxide. Glycolysis reaction will also start with the glucose, which is converted to glucosic phosphate by enzyme called hexokinase, and in this process the ATP will convert to ADP as energy. Then the glucose 6-phosphate will isomerase to fructose 6-phosphate, and then this fructose 6-phosphate will again convert to the fructose 16 biphosphate by phosphofructokinase enzyme, and in this process the ATP also convert to ADP, and this fructose 16 biphosphate will aldolase into two result, which is glycosylaldehyde 3-phosphate and dehydroxyacetone phosphate. Okay, these are classified as the first phase of the glycolysis reaction, which is in this process the energy is preferred to be consumed in the reaction. Okay, in this part, this process is isomerase, which is isomerase, which is the reverse reaction. Then the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate will convert to 1,3-biphosphoglycerate by Gl3-phosphate dehydrogenase enzyme. In this process, the NAD will convert to NADH. And this compound will also convert to the 3-phosphoglycerate biphosphogycerate kinase enzyme, and in this conversion, the ADP will convert to ATP, and the energy that used in this reaction is in ATP form. Okay, this process is classified as the second phase of the reaction in the glycolysis reaction. Electron transport chain is the chain of enzyme, and this transportation of the electron is located in the inner mitochondrial membrane. And this electron transport chain is the main source for energy production in aerobic pathway. Okay, we move to the overview of the electron transport chain. Okay, these are the mitochondrial. We can see yes, they are the outer mitochondrial membrane, which are this line. Okay, the inner of mitochondrial membrane, and these are the intermembrane space. Okay, in the inner mitochondrial membrane, it's contain 4 set of enzyme complex, and within this enzyme, the first enzyme complex will convert to the fourth enzyme complex, and the electron transfer from first enzyme to the fourth will generate the energy, and utilize to pump the H plus ion into intermembrane. Okay, from here to it's pumped to the intermembrane space, which is here. Okay, as we curious about what happened in this electron transport chain actually. Okay, the electron in this process, the electron are passed from one molecule to another, and use energy in this electron transfer used to form an electrochemical gradient. Okay, and here is a 3 main step that is important to remember in this electron transport chain. Okay, first is the proton pump across the enzyme, across this enzyme from one and another to create electrochemical gradient, which is proton motive force. And the second step is the synthesis of ATP that used in the subsequent diffusion of proton to synthesis ATP. Okay, the last step is that we should remember in this process is that the oxygen that accept electron and the proton to form water. Okay. what is the end product in this process? Okay, at the end of the electron transport chain that involve commonly in aerobic respiration, the last carrier of the proton in membrane transfer to have an oxygen molecule that combine various time with two proton from surrounding to produce water molecule as the end product of this process. So as conclusion, in this whole process, it will form the water molecule.